It's me. It's a me. A Zen. It's you. Whoever you are. Thanks for showing up. Today is a day that I should have wrote out some notes. Because there's so many things I want to talk about. But I think I could. I think it's up there somewhere. I think I can get to it. And it's things that wide and varied. It's spread all over the internet. You can find all of these subjects, but it'd probably take a while to concisely collate the information and then put it together in some sort of neat little package for people. And I'll attempt to do that. But I think it really comes down to some very basic things. access to what's up, Skull? Access to energy. Now that's a very simple way of putting it. But what are we talking about? Well, we can start with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We could talk about having a roof, having food, imagine having friends and social interactions. Imagine having, we're at a place that, why are people, what's going on, peace, love. Why are so many people going and using the internet? People are working from home because there just aren't jobs to do, and they'll become less and less. And we've talked about this before. The food shortage thing that's happening, it's planned. It's been planned. Robots are already taking jobs, which is, again, I've already gone over why that's a good thing. Because the function of technology and robots, and we'll get into that a little later if you don't understand quite what it is. But why are people why are people prostituting themselves on the internet? Like OnlyFans and, people that use it's all, it's for some people that still have jobs to get to purchase a company or vagina or dick for that matter, if I may say that word. But it's mainly company. It's because social interaction is a difficult thing for most people. It's reintroducing people to the population. They're like, now you still have the people that wear their face diapers. So where are they, like, from a purely psychological standpoint? They're going to have, they already had problems prior. Now that it's absolutely very apparent, like where their psychoses lie. But from a physical standpoint, they're causing a lot of stress to the brain, and their lungs and all sorts of things, hypoxia, all of the different kind of things that are occurring, pneumonia, bacterial pneumonia infections. I mean, it's outrageous. But why is that happening? And we can see why that has started to occur. But furthermore, these people, like, who's going to work? What jobs exist? I mean, I go out and I remember when people used to be working at the restaurants and the service industry. I mean, they're all but destroying service industry, which is crazy because that's about all there is left in the world to do is work. Anyways, manufacturing jobs. What do you think? What do you think is manufacturing things? There's no whatever Model T, Fords that were people in an assembly line. Those have been replaced by robots, which is, a good thing, because who wants to do those jobs anyways? Nobody. They took our jobs. Why don't you just say that robots took our jobs? Well, who created the robots? Who created the tools and technology? The purpose of tools and technology is to make mundane tasks, repetitious mundane tasks, simple and efficient. And the number of people that have to oversee the systems are very minimal. There's not much in the real world. Not much work needs to be done. You're in the Garden of Eden, and there's food. Go ahead, build a shelter. There's some shelter, and there you go. Now everything else is cream on top of that. You don't even really need to plant food. You don't even need to do anything. It rains because that's what it does. Go where there's food and go where there's water, and poof, you're already set. But now we live in these cities, which is fine. Maybe some of these cities have got a little too big. buildings got a little too tall and they tried to force too many people into too small of an area. Whatever. Nonetheless, the technology, now we're at a point where what is happening with the supply chains? What is happening with the amount of, again, this is very important, the access to anything. Where is it going to? Who has access to things? Like people that people that I used to know, that I knew just from out. I'm like, oh, do you see so? No, they moved back home, or they moved to like they moved somewhere cheaper. They moved to like, they had a good job paying a good deal of money. I'm like, no, business owners have got to shut down. And then the people so broadcast to by these corporations, this fear this and all of this nonsense, that all the businesses shut down. And now you think they're going to just start up again? I mean, yeah, slowly people are back using public transportation and airplanes and going places, but you don't think that this whole thing's they're gonna try to do that again? Like, the whole thing that they did for a year and a half, like the people that's already like they're still wearing their poopy diapers on their face. You think that haven't taken off? You think they're gonna be like, oh, I knew it, you know? And everybody's like, what is going on? Yeah, the scarcity program. Like how much? See, again, being a minimalist myself, I have enough stuff. I have more than enough stuff. I don't really need a lot. But most people they believe they need more than they need. You can want and need and enjoy all of the extra stuff that you want. But again, the point that I'm trying to get to here. So for me, like food and things, I don't need as much as someone else believes they need. But less food, less times to poopy, less toilet paper I need, less, these kind of things. It all makes sense to me because I've done it a few times. But everybody else, they'll freak the fuck out. So what access do they have, and what kind of things? What are people going to be able to afford? We're not going to get into fiat currency. We're not going to get into digital currency. We're not going to do that right here. But what is? I'm not going to say a they, a them. What is their grand agenda or goal? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying as a population, what are people going to be doing? What jobs are going to exist? Why are chicks in droves relentlessly just turning to whorishdom? It's what else they're gonna do? They weren't educated. School system didn't give them an education. They gave nobody an education, a real education, scholarship, scholarly work. Nobody has that. How the hell are you gonna afford that anyways? And who wants to continue on school after they are taught nothing? So what kind of skills do they have? They have no real life skills. So where are they going to work? They're going to work at the factory that is now robots run the factory, so they're not working there. And now they're going to work in the service industry, which doesn't exist as much anymore, and it's slowly turning into nothing. Where's anybody working? There's not too many people. There's not. The planet is not overpopulated by any. It's ridiculous. But where people like having the major cities a little bit overpopulated, wouldn't you say? So what is this? What are women left to do? Oldest profession on the planet. What else? What would you do? You ain't got a job. Hey, what can I do? Shit. Hey, if I'll find a couple old women to take care of me. I don't care. I'll go. Shit. Old women are sexy. I'll make love to some old ladies. I'll do the dishes for them. Roof over the head and buy me, because she's already good. She got the money from the ex-husband, whatever. Cool. I'm good. Just buy me a couple drinks here and there. We'll have good times. Take walks in the park. Play with the ducks. I don't give a shit. I mean, wouldn't that be what you would do? Do I want to go live in the forest in a cabin making, putting two sticks together, making a fire, and like, no, it's just, that's silly. That's a silly thing. But what I'm saying is, the society is breeding people to be on OnlyFans to sell their underwear. I mean, you know how many chicks that I know are just regular, average, normal, intelligent chicks that used to have jobs that literally sell pictures of their vagina. This is a thing. They sell their panties. Like that's some creepy shit for whatever that. I mean, if that's what you're into, whatever, so be it. Not go for it. I'm just saying this is where we live now. Like that's it. Where are these jobs coming from? Like okay, granted, Florida and Texas. I'm still living in the U.S. And I'm watching a little bit of the business coming back to New Orleans, but most of the businesses changed hands, consolidated to businesses that somebody already owned, like three or four, and had money in the bank. So like small businesses became, well, now it's not just one-off shops, people just living and doing their damn thing. It's like now they couldn't afford rent, and rent went down. Somebody else bought it up or leased it, cheaper rate, and now the person that had a big restaurant conglomerate, now they own 20 things. So now the person that was running their own business, if they want a job, if these things still exist, they would have to go like, oh, I used to own this restaurant. We're going to go back in there and work in the kitchen for a fraction of the money they made. How insulting. How divisive must that be? Could you imagine, here's your kingdom that you own, and somebody's like, well, you just don't own it anymore because we're not going to let anybody do business with you because everybody put a mask on. Oh, don't everybody you can take your mask off now, and this guy takes over and he says, oh, you can come do dishes. What? My menu was better than what you put. It was higher quality food. What are you talking about? You know how insulting that would be? And what kind of job skills? What kind of job skills have people developed that are valuable and viable moving forward? I hate when people say that. Moving forward? Well, no. Which way would you like to go? Isn't that the only place to go? I didn't know you could time travel backwards. Well, I mean, I know you can, but so what kind of skills are required in this new world? No, there's because you can program computers. It doesn't make you. That's not like a real life skill. I mean, it's going to do something. It is a skill, and it will get you somewhere. If you know how to program and plug away at a computer, you could make lots of digital currency, and that will get you access to things. So, I mean, that's kind of where we are in technocratic society. Technology now we're. Hey, wait until I'm gonna tell you what's happening. You know, the food shortage, they're doing that. Completely planned. They already told you they're going to do internet, like where they'll shut the internet down for a little bit, screw up people, they'll screw up banks, they'll screw up the crypto. Oh, it can be screwed up. You think it can't be? I guarantee it. Let me see who's up in there. What's up? Totally fine. What's up, hippie? Yeah, drive out of the city. There's nothing but land. Exactly. What's up, Mind Jin? Ninja Turtle. If you were to, well, I assume so. I think if you just kept it moist and kept the stem cells on it, like I would, if you cut your finger off, I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, think about it. If you break a bone, it glues itself back together. If you cut your skin, it comes back. If you cut your toenails, it grows back. To what degree? I think it would just be a matter of keeping it in a stem cell solution. You'd have to allow it to just regrow. And I think the drying out would probably be caused, well, then what's going to grow? You need moisture and warmth for anything really to grow, a baby or bacteria. So yeah, but the stem cells and being urine, it's going to be, plasma and stem cells and good things. So I think they would probably would. I don't know how long it would take. Could probably speed up the process somehow. Sound, vibrational sounds. I don't know. But yeah, I think it would. I think it would happen. I think it's probably been done. Yes, Stan. Some people's degrees get out of their professions and they do something else. Yeah, it's a possibility. But right now, like most people's degrees mean next to dog shit. Oh, thank you, Mayan. Yeah, it's cyber attacks. What do you think they're gonna do? They they could do anything they want with anyone's. The people, you have to understand the system that you're all running, all of you, me, everybody. There are people that have slave systems, and this is slave systems. There's a master system behind it. I've had to explain it like this before to people. If there's www.google.com, right? There is a system that sits behind that is the same thing, but it's like www.2.google.com, and then 3 and 4, and those systems sit on top of each other. They're called redundant systems. They're always in place, and those things, they can just hit a button and move to the next system as the first system and just erase the entire system. Doesn't matter. They can change anything they want. They could alter and change anything. So when we talk about like altering and changing history, especially on the internet, it's simple to do. All they had to do was write 4 things at once, and they put this one on the first level, this one on the second level, this one third, and this one's fourth, and they just push a button, do anything they want. It doesn't matter. You even people that think this happened before, as soon as the crypto came out, they were like, oh, because it's blockchain, you can't ever be hacked. And then it was, because you don't even understand who runs it or how it's run. Like, even people are like, well, no, here's why it can't, because if you do it, no, they're not. It's not completely true. So the systems, they're gonna run fake cyber bullshit. They'll do it in real time. They'll do it in real life. What's that gonna cause? You know, I mean, how many times have you already been out where somewhere doesn't take cash and then somewhere else doesn't take card? This happened to me one day. I went out and I had card on me, and go to a place that the day prior was only accepting card, but I couldn't get any cash out because the electricity in the city went out. So the electricity was out for 5 days, and I didn't have no cash. So how am I supposed to get things? And then I've been to places where they only accept cards, and all I had was cash. So there's like really like, okay, fine. How about let me just have this. It's gonna go bad anyways. Go to a grocery store. Like, what are you gonna do? Your coolers are everything's gonna melt. Just give me the shit. You know. What do you think happens when like I was watching somebody's Instagram or some bullshit the other day, and the chick was like, she's showing her bank account. It says minus like $8,999,000, and like, yeah, that's just something that occurred, and like it happened. So she's like, how am I $9 million in debt? I'm worth like $50. You know, like, where did that come from? It's going to be possibly real, but that's what's in the system. Well, of course. Look at me. I live in a tiny house. I have jeans and a t-shirt on. Like, what do you think I'm doing? I don't even have a car. Where's my this is what she's like kind of getting into, saying like, where's this $9 million in debt that she accumulated out of nowhere? She's like, I got $47 in my other account. But here, you know. So I mean, that happening on a grand scale, you know what they could do? They could just add zeros where they want. They could just add it to somebody else's account. They don't even need to take it out of yours. They just run a different system. I mean, if you had to do it, they would just go, okay. They've always bled from the poor and given to the rich. I mean, think about it. If you're rich, if you put $100,000 in the bank account, interest earning, you make money for having $100,000. If you got $20 you ain't making interest. And if you somehow overdraft, they charge you more. Like, I had less. And then they're like, well, that $20 that you overdrafted, we're just going to give it to the person that had $1 million. That makes so much sense, doesn't it? That sounds really like a great idea. Really teaches people something. But what do you think they can do, though? It's easy as pushing a button. If you're running any higher level system, all you do have to do is just change one thing in it. You can change the program. So that's what they're doing. So how many other things do I want to get into here? Yeah, the cyber attack already hit the supply chain. They already did this. They already did this with it was a couple weeks ago. There was a shutdown because of a major server that shut down for like 2 hours. And so it shut down like basically every website that was being hosted through that. So you couldn't even, I think it was like Amazon or something really, a bunch of really big things. It was like for 2 hours they couldn't, and then, you know, that fake ass where the ship got stuck in the thing. You telling me that's, so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, thousands and thousands of ships can go down there and make it down perfectly. And one day they're just like, well, no, we're just going to go sideways. Nah, that don't happen like that. And now tomatoes, you can't get tomatoes because, not because of tomatoes, but because of steel. Because they can't, because they canned tomatoes are going to go up in price because they're not getting the steel that they would normally get from a different country because of the. No, it's a whole thing. And somebody's like, oh, why don't they just use glass jars? Well, they just didn't start making more glass jars because the steel, like because it just happened. So they just don't have more people. Hey, everybody, where's all the people that want to make glass jars? They don't have more equipment. They can't just change it that quickly. Yeah, 1% run about 80% of the economy. That's right. What's up, Zuniel? Um, Amerifat, or are you living under a rock in the EU? I thought it was mad worse over there because what I was hearing is you guys still have to wear your muzzles and stuff, and you guys were getting you guys don't even have like they're not even have your bars and shit open. Your boy Carl Vernon was talking about it. He's always going on and about it. I don't know. Mine. What's the WEF? I know the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Oh, you're in Sweden. Okay, yeah. Well, that's a little different. Yeah, yeah. The major part, down in Britain and I believe Ireland and all that. I think they're still kind of there's. Oh, the World Economic Forum. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, you protested the restrictions were too low that you needed more of them. Sounds mighty white to you guys. You honky ass cracker, white ass Swedish people. We need more restrictions, please. Tell us what to do. Love you. Yeah, yeah. I was hearing about that. Yeah. If anybody's interested in what's going on with the food supply chain, look up Ice Age Farmer. He does a great job of explaining it. So I mean, between the farming, between the cost, like no jobs, between, I mean, what really happens? What is the purpose? I mean, I understand that if people, most people can't go without a meal. You ever hear chicks? They always like, go without a meal and they're angry. Dudes get the same way. They miss a meal or two, they're angry. They're like very, I get it because they're all the toxins and poisons they put in their body that they're addicted to. If they don't have them, it's going to cause quite a chaos. So what do you think happens? Little things like what do you think's been happening? People's have short fuses. They're very very like on edge. What do you think? Just add to that. I mean, road rage. If people can even afford, no, okay, look at us. How much is gas in the U.S. now? Seeing somebody filled up, it was like $75. I was like, whoa, $75. Less people with jobs, food shortages, food costs going up. I mean, this is. I don't know how many of you even went to college or did any research or understand anything about how economies and um, markets and capitalism and communism and all these things work. But this is the hyperinflation. You're at the end of the J curve. Like this is you think capitalism and it's planned too. I mean, it'll happen eventually because of, as I've always explained to people, it's the three I's: income tax, inflation, and interest. Between those three things, you'll never get ahead of it. And it gets to a point, just like if you were to multiply a penny by itself every day, in 30 days you'd have $1,000,000. Now if we just made that a little lower, like a penny and then it was like 1.6, like golden mean. So it's 1 penny equals 1.6 pennies in 2 days, 1.6 penny, then we're at like 3, and then you get then It moves up a little slower, but as soon as it gets towards the end, you can't. It's like it's like catching the tiger's tail, or catch the Ouroboros. You can't. You're not gonna get to the front of the thing. The system was built on destroying itself. It can't exist. There's things you could do to adjust the system, and you could make it a lot more balanced, and you could make it more, how would you say, organic, more balanced, more. You would have to get rid of income tax, inflation, and interest. It's called usury. You get rid of those three things, you can adjust the system to work, and it would work. There'd be a lot less rich people, and there'd be a lot less poor people. It would not be communism by any means, but it would alter the value of things, and what things are worth, their absolute intrinsic value of worth. Ice Age Farmer? Yeah, he does a pretty good job of explaining what's going on. Yeah. Hey, Zuno, that's yeah. I had a couple friends that I don't think they would tell me, because they know who the fuck I am, and they know what I think, and they know what I know. And if they did went and get it, they wouldn't tell me. I know that. And it's a very fucked up thing, because it's like somebody that I'm very intimate and close with. If they went and got it, they wouldn't tell me. But all of a sudden, their kids sick all the time. They're sick all the time. They were very like, everything was a major fucking thing. I mean, other things was going on in their life too. Don't get me wrong. But and I know somebody else in the house that got it, and I don't know anything about what's going on in their world, but people's level of aggression going up, people's level of how quickly people are to just how spasmodic people are. I mean, that's not only that, whatever's in that, it's everything that goes with it, including the psychological terrorism and everything else that's been going on. Food shortages, housing, what are you going to do? All the stresses. What are you going to do? That's not, and whatever's in that obviously ain't helping. I've already seen a bunch. I've seen a bunch of videos. At first, I was like, people were doing, hey, look, it's magnetic, and I was like, I think their skin is just sticky, and you're not actually. And then I seen a woman. It was an old Spanish woman, and this chick was like just taking things and just sticking it to her, like hundreds of things, coins, and any metal objects. Her phone, literally, it was magnetizing to a woman. Like, what is that? Like, I don't know. And it wasn't definitely the way it was sitting on her skin. She was like throwing it at her, and you would see it pop to her skin. It wasn't like, if you have sticky skin, sweaty skin, you can kind of get something to stick there for a little bit. Like, I could do it with a coin if I had one, but I don't have any coins because I'm broke. Oh, if you guys still have money and do want to assist me in having a roof over my head and a beer to drink, buy me a beer. Thanks, appreciate it. CashApp, PayPal, all that shit. This is how I prostitute myself out, by educating people. And if you need to know anything about health or well-being, I can help you with that too. You can always hit me up for one-on-ones. Sustainable unsustainabilities. What's up, C Noble? The farm of tomatoes this year. Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole. Well, I wonder what that is. Hey, mind you, Mr. Mannion, what's up? Do you remember when we were decoding tomatoes, and we got into the being from Venus, and its code, tomatoes code was what, 4664, and then we were decoding all of that. That was really interesting. So I wonder. I mean, of course, if it's worked together on such a high level, it must be a reason they're using tomatoes to be the scarce crop right now. I mean, that's first of many, but does anybody even eat tomatoes? The nightshades? Oh, I think it was. See, no, but you missed it. Oh, well, this is a couple years ago. I think this was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. Me and mine did a decoding on tomatoes and a bunch of other things. I'm pretty sure I'm sure it was up in my videos for a while. But what else am I gonna see? Social, psychological stressors, um, breaking down. We could then the further breaking down of the cells of the human body. What are they? You know, you can just look into the movies and see what's going on to a degree. What are they doing? What is the purpose of the next the next like how they altered everyone's DNA has been altered in every way, and you can do it yourself. You're altering your DNA with food, with frequencies, but they're doing it specifically with an intent. Uh, who knows what the intention is? But there's this whole thing. I go watch. What's his name? He just they cut his channel down so many times because it's the most perfect thing I've ever seen on just everything that's going on, and it's like a 6 or 7 hours, 7-part series. Um, hmm. I forget the guy's name. Somebody told me about it. Somebody told me his name again. Because I'd watched the whole series, I just forgot what his name was. Not Alex Jones. It was a 7-hour series. So tomatoes were used as ornaments in the past. I didn't know anything about that. Circadian rhythm. Yeah, I was talking about the cicadas. I want to add the circadian rhythm. Yeah, tomatoes are safe. People say nightshades are no good, but no, tomatoes are good. They're good for the heart food. Yeah, I don't know why I can't remember this dude's name. EWAK. You'd have a hard time finding his stuff on YouTube now. You got to go to one of the alternate ones where they're not doing what they do, censoring everything. Um, hmm. Let's just go back to whatever the hell I was talking about. It's none of those dudes. It's not Wilcox or Jones. It's somebody that you haven't heard of. It's somebody that compiled like the best, like a way of breaking down what's going on in this realm. And what I was getting into is these silicone based and the carbon based creatures. So there was a time that water was not a thing here, and that the silicone based creature was the thing. And so what it was, the consumption of it, like how long it would live for. Like think about it. Silicone makes up what is crystals. Your body, it can become crystallized. You basically are a bunch of crystals in your body, but the majority of it is carbon. Carbon and silica or silicon. It's very similar construct, but there's a way of making. It's a long-winded thing to get into how it's done, and how it probably looked. But this goes into like what the beings were and why they sort of giant before the flood and the giants, and what kind of oxygen environment was here. So look at sand. Supposedly it was the trees that were the sand is the sawdust of the trees, the giant trees. Yeah. So how do you are we supposed to turn ourselves into silica creatures? I mean, is that the point of becoming breatharian? I mean, just a couple wild stabs in the dark at it, but yep. Yeah, silicone and sand is what you find on the beaches. And, yep. Like what sense is it that it's there? The, unless you consider what the trees used to be made of, and then what they were mining. Like here's the idea that the planet is a quarry. It's a mine. It's like just a giant. They quarried things, taking rocks and stones and all the things that are in the ground to make things. And they just, and everywhere you look, everything is. You think a mountain is a mountain. You think that it's not. It's something completely different. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. That was about the same time we were dicking around. Yeah, you had started that. I was like, no shit. Carbon, silicon, and what is it? Nitrous oxide? Is it nitrogen? I mean, if you got some nitrous oxide shit, might as well. Let's do some whippets, dude. Yeah, I mean, and I think there is something too that we have noble metals. What there's a reason like nobility and gold and silver and platinum and bronze. It's like that's the good stuff, right? And noble metals versus, and there's soft metals and there's hard metals. Yeah, the aggregate of what's on the ground, like where did it come from? Oh, there you go. That's what I was Zunil. That's exactly what I was talking about. Ewar, uh, LHFE. Yes, he did two series. One was the 7-part series, and one was a 13-part series. If you already understand the realm that we live on is probably flat, the majority of one of the series kind of gets more into like flat Earth, that kind of stuff. Yeah, LHFE was the flat Earth one, but the one that I was talking about was the other one, um, the Ewar. That's right. Oh, I didn't know if you could hear it. Yeah, it's in Bossa Nova, copyright free Bossa Nova. How do you say it? It's pretty alright. Oh, watch the other one too, man. If you could, you should be able to find it somewhere. If you probably have to scour YouTube to find it, and it's probably deleted soon enough. But it's on like the other thing, like brand new tube or whatever everyone's following now. I don't know. There's just so many. They're like, oh, go here, do this, and I'm like, then it doesn't work for like a day or something. I'm like, it's hard to post things, and like I don't know. But it's on one of those other ones. Yeah, but yeah, the most of what he was putting together, if you were to watch the 3,000 videos that I put out, it's pretty much covers most of that. There was only a couple things that, I mean, I didn't place it all together as well as he did by any means, but he did a fantastic job. And there was like a couple things that I didn't see, and then as soon as you see it, you go, oh, like the giant Arc D Triumph and all the other giant, those are horseshoe magnets, which makes a lot of sense. So you got horseshoe magnets and then iron rebar and basically part of a giant electrical circuit. I mean, I've been on I think we live on a computer board for a long time, for a year and change now. I thought it for a couple years, but then a couple other people put some stuff out on like, I was like, yeah, but how would it be? And then they're explaining a couple things. It's like, oh, I know, I see it. Yep, on a computer board. It's all built that way, and it all fits together. It's like if you take the Thunderbolts of the Gods series, but eliminate their need to believe it's still somehow a ball flying through outer space. They have some pretty good. They have some pretty good ideas in there. So I take from that, and then there's a couple like Crater Earth theory and that dude, great stuff. Um, he still thinks we live in a bigger ball. I don't know about that, but whatever. I mean, and the idea of why is it a crater? Seems to be a few reasons. Like geysers have to do with this, and pressure from what's beneath the earth pushing things out, and like making. So it's not like a crater came and hit the earth. It's ridiculous. The crater was made differently, and yeah, like this whole system being somewhat enclosed in probably what is a thick plasma sphere. That's what I would assume it is. It could be actually, could actually be a glass or a crystal or something. But nonetheless, the enclosed system still runs. If it wasn't enclosed, the system wouldn't work. It would have to be enclosed for it to function, or else energy would dissipate outside of the realm. So you would need to keep it within to contain it, so that way things can say, well, energy never goes anywhere, it just changes the form. It's like, how would you, a computer system with no, it'd be like this. If math didn't have parameters, you need to have parameters for any kind of equation you're trying to figure out. If you want to build a house, you can't just say it's unlimited. You have to put walls up and put things up, and here's the framework. You have to frame it. So in the system, the framework for what we live on top of, you can't just have a wire that just goes off into nowhere land. It's got to ground out and connect to something and close the loop to have that current. I know that's a lot of things to say, but hopefully it made somewhat sense. Yeah, I mean, they call it Mother Earth. It's the motherboard. We live on top of a motherboard. I think it's pretty obvious that we do. Especially with considering what all the materials are, how things are gridded out, how much water is used. I mean, look at computers now. They're water cooled. What's not to say that that the geysers that we see at certain parks, what's not to say that that's not like a main source of where the water is doing a cooling to something, and as soon as, you know, if you put water on something that's very hot and it cools it down, it builds steam and builds pressure. So if it's doing that so the system, your computer system, every once in a while puts cool water on something, heats up the water. Now you got heat sinks, it dissipates, and water comes up, and the cycle still exists, comes back to. That's what it would do, and that's what happens at geysers. Peace, love. Yeah, well, he gets into the moon is a reflection of the Earth. That's what Ewar talks about. That the moon is a reflection of the Earth. Which seems to be, yeah, it's starting to look that way. Mars, I never heard that way. How does all the minerals aggregate? They mix in such concentrations. Well, I mean, I think some of it was man done. That as soon as you start grinding things up and putting, like, if we look at deserts and there's piles of sand, like what is that? It was, most places you go, you can see that they were quarries. Most things you would say, you know, most things, the closer you examine it, the more and more it's very apparent that it was either melted because of have you ever seen an electrical system melt? Because of the amounts of energy going through electricity, you can melt things that seem like it wouldn't be meltable. that almost apparent. Certainly, these buildings, too much amperage. If you understand, I said this a long time. If you understand how electricity functions even at a low level, and how systems can burn and fry out and short circuit, these buildings, they were capacitors. These, you know, the capstones to a pyramid is capacitor. The limestone, it was like there's materials in there. They've actually found that you can hold energy inside of red bricks. That you can store energy. So these giant red buildings were literally storehouses for energy. And then we start using specific shapes like star forts and things on churches and stuff. Like those weren't doing what they weren't just there for ornamental purposes. Although they were beautiful. But yeah, the more that we look at it, it's like they were moving around different minerals to change the system, to make more energy into the system. And then maybe somebody, electrical engineer, said, here, we got to throw 300 amps in this, and then they had the breaker on it was at 350, and they don't know, and then they got 325 going into it. Now it starts a fire, and it didn't break the breaker because the breaker was too big. If you have enough amperage going into your car, but you have one of your little You know, those little things, those little fan things that go in your fuse box, the fuse there. If you put the wrong one that's too small, it will just break every time. If you put one in that's too big, you could actually heat that up too much and burn out the thing in front of it. Now, what I'm suggesting is that's what happened to some places on the realm. They started putting too much energy into certain parts of the system without putting a larger infrastructure of cables or you know how big the copper cable is will tell you how much energy that you can get going into it anyways before you melt it. And then you'll have the breaker or the fuse box. And if you put too big of a fuse in there, it's just gonna let more energy in than should be, because that's what, now you've got this bigger system. You've built a tower that's too big, but depending on what you're building it for, one of it could be a collection of the etheric energy. It's collecting the aether and putting it into the system, or it's something it's a holding thing, or it's a distribution center. Now, if the distribution center doesn't have the right fuse blocks, you could melt the whole system. And I think that's what happened in the last reset. I mean, there you go. Look, like an anchor watt. Look at the anchor watt. Like wattage is another. I don't think that's too far from the truth. I think that's probably what it is. Like an anchor. What do anchors do? There are a lot of reasons that anchors are. So this is gonna go. We'll get into the weeds and left field with this shit. We'll get into the really. See, like right now, if anybody would have said what I'm saying 6 years ago, people are like, what are you talking about? Now, I think most people, it's starting to look pretty reasonable that that's probably what it is. The moon is probably a reflective surface. The purpose of salt water as a conductive, for conducting energy, not only for materials on top of it, such as ships, but literally taking energy through it. What these buildings were used for. I mean, it's funnier and funnier, huh? See, Noble, there you go. Yeah. When you start to think about things in the form of electromagnetics, you start to the entire realm starts to make. If you just base everything that you're kind of playing with, and just say it's electromagnetic in some way. The building is part of a system. That church was part of it, and then you look at it from the top down, and you start to see, oh, it looks exactly like a motherboard. It looks exactly like an electrical circuit. It looks exactly like. And I'm really thinking the geysers might have something to do with letting off steam from a coolant for the system. So that would be the way to keep. So if the geysers are always the same temperature, you can go into these little places that have the geysers, and they have like the hot springs, hot springs. Well, that would be the nominal temperature. And you have a steam release valve. Think of a system. If you release the steam and you got the coolant running through it, it's going to keep your car running at the same temperature. That's what the coolant does. So if it's running a coolant system, jump in the thing. It's going to be the perfect temperature. So if they made the temperature perfect for humans to go and relax in, and also to function as a part of the larger system, 104 degrees, 108 degrees, whatever. Why would most every no matter where you are on the planet, why is the temperature of that water just about the same? It wouldn't make any sense, would it? If you're where it's very hot or where it's really cold, wouldn't the temperature of the water be different? But it's not, because it's functioning and doing something else. Yeah, the news, the northeast, west, south. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. The Anchorman's news. So I highly suggest to people to look up Ice Age Farmer stuff. His latest stuff is pretty good. It's a good overview of stuff. Maybe he has a full overview of the way that he sees everything going on, but most of his videos cover a lot of stuff. And go watch Ewar. Ewar is very. Oh, you know where you can find it? You can find it on Norb's theory. Remember Norb's? Yeah, which is great because Norb's theory feeds exactly into what's going on, and the way that Ewar breaks it down, and it's on his channel. He rehosted it. The whole 7 hours. Highly suggest it. What else to get into here? I think I covered everything I wanted from the beginning of the video about just where money is coming from, what prostitution is, how this, the system running together. Peace out, C Noble. Maya and Jay, are you talking about the Ewar? You seen that whole thing? The flat Earth one and the other one? The flat Earth one was like, I think 13 videos. The other one's 7 videos or something. Both of them, there was enough new stuff in there and enough connections that I was like, whoa, no shit. Ah, now I see. And also, if you can, listen to it on 1.5 speed. His voice will get really annoying pretty quick. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. It was just too slow. I mean, I like the sound of his voice, but it was so deliberate and so heavy-handed that I could tell he was doing it for dramatic effect. And I appreciate that. But 7 hours of that, speed it up to 1.5, and you'll like it a lot better. I guarantee it. Oh, you're talking about Anchorman too. Okay. Oh, you're talking about Anchorman. I thought you were talking about Ewar. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen Anchorman 2 in a bit. I'll have to go rewatch that. That's funny though. I did see it. I did see Paul Rudd and those guys doing like a Broadway singing of, that they were singing all of the songs. It was pretty funny. I know, right? Like, isn't it funny right now? I don't care what channel you turn on whenever, what's going to be the only story? You already know what it is. Like, how silly. Like, really? Like, there's other things, other stuff, but no, that's what it is. And everybody's still watching that shit. Like, damn, that would get... Could you imagine? Like, what would you do? Like, if every day you went home and your parents were like, you're going to be the greatest baseball player. We're going to play baseball all day, every day. Or you're going to become an engineer. Or you're going to be a pianist or whatever. You'd be like, shut the fuck up. Get away from, just stop. You'd eventually do that. But not people with the news. Nah, people just go, like, they're just in it. I wonder. I really do wonder, with all of the programming, and we've seen most of it come to pass, in some way or another, whether it was a real deal thing or like just kind of like, okay, they're telling you that that's what's gonna happen only because they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's things that come to pass because it's an organic thing, and there's things that, of course, if I say I'm gonna bounce a ball, you'll see someone bounce a ball in an hour, and I got something bounce a ball. Like, that's obviously I know that's gonna happen because I'm gonna do it. So some of it's that, But other parts of it, like the zombie thing, is that gonna happen? For real? For real? What a weird, strange world. And I think people underestimate the fact that it's already to a degree happening. You ever see people just wild out on some low level, nonsensical, like my favorite always was people that would be 10, 15 feet away from you, and then you wouldn't have a mask on, and they'd run up to you and take their mask off and get in your face from less than 6 feet away and start yelling at you to put your mask on. That was my favorite, because it's literally like, if you watch that from the outside, that's the most insane thing you could possibly ever fucking imagine. Like the person's like, I'm a robot and here's my 2 main rules. 6 feet away, wear a mask. And they go and literally the 2 things that they say are most important, they just avoid. They just go, actually, number 1 rule is to yell at people that don't have a mask on because they suck. Yeah, I mean, well, think about it too. If especially with the amount of people doing the vegan thing, where they don't even understand that I'm even part and parcel to the nature of reality and life and death. It's all there. It's all intermingling. Not to go and, you know, that they're so far removed from that. They're a lack of nutrition. They're becoming like. They're the ones that they're also putting the mask on. They're also getting the thing, and you know they're doing all of that, and their food has no energy and life force in it, and yeah, I mean they're not part of the cycle. They've literally removed themselves from this whatever this is as life, just by going, no, we're doing it this way. It's all plastic. They've plasticized, and it's like a plasticization of culture, really, and the physical body. Most of these people are not going to turn into crystals. They're turning into pieces of plastic, quite literally. They seem brain dead. Some of them because of lack of oxygen. Some of them because they're doing things to their body and brain chemically. I mean, the chemicals they're putting in just from the food. Like go get. They're like, oh, we eat Oreos because that's my. Because that's vegan. I'm like, did you read all the things in there? Because none of that sounds really appetizing. I don't know. It's like all these things. Like, yeah, this aluminum can is vegan. Should I eat the aluminum can? The logic would be yes. Is it doing harm to animals? Well, no, but it might, cut up my insides. No, I didn't say you. I just meant, is an animal safe? But yeah, the zombies, man. I mean, like, what levels of zombies are we going to actually see as extreme of zombie behavior? Because we're getting it to a degree. I love watching the NPCs, the Oblivion NPCs on the YouTubes. Some of them, when they put the music next to it, I'm like, oh my god, like, is that for real? For real? For real? Like, what is happening here? Zunil, I've covered that so many times. Ouch. I will try to I'll answer that as quick as possible. Yes. But it's all climate related. It's not that the fruits are screwed up, it's where you live. It should be local, and there's a bunch of things to do with your blood viscosity and what's available to you. If you live in the north where it's cold, you're not going to have fruit trees. So you don't eat fruit. It should be local and fresh, and whatever it is. There's not really a reason if you live on an island, and then on the island, what you have is it's a fishing village, and you have fruits, and there's a few kind of animals. You would probably want those animal species as your friends, and why eat them? You have all the fish you want, you have fruits right there, and you have the sunshine, and you got your feet on the ground. I mean, what more could you ask for, right? That is, I think, essentially how we should be living. But granted, some people live in different climates, so that climate will be very much telling you what you should and shouldn't eat. There's a reason that people live in Alaska eat whale blubber. It's because that whale blubber is not only going to feed them for a long time, it's going to, once they get out the water, it's going to freeze. They can leave it out. It's frozen. And then when they cook it, they're getting lots of fats and things, and it causes their body to be thicker and their blood to be, they're changing their blood viscosity, so they'll stay warmer. It's part of the climate. But yeah, I think that the highest form of diet would be ether, then fruits, urine, water. Fruits, fruits highest. Urine is always part of it. Water, as we need it, and then raw meat, and then everything's gonna. Yeah, I mean, they're not too far off, but the meat keeps us grounded to the earth, and the more blood you get, the more energy from the blood plasma you get. But you could get the same amount of energy just by drinking your piss, and it'll be cleaner. Nice. Hold on one second. I'll put some more music on here. Cool. All right. Cymatic Gardens. That's what's up. Yeah, Cymatic Gardens is where it's at. What's up, David? Oh, Dave, thanks for the dollars the other day, man. Yeah, I mean, Zuno. Yeah, sun-ripened fruit, minimal amounts occasionally. Some wine that you'll make from the fruits. Some beers. Wild, you would probably only occasionally make anything out of grains. So you'd probably only make like vodka or high grade alcohol, and you would use that only to store herbs that you've grown too much of. Other than that, beers, wines, fresh fruit, sunbathing. It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. It's pretty simple. Prana is ether. I guess you could kind of interchange that. I guess the ether would be kind of just whatever the center of the center points of electricity and magnetism. It's just like that center point. It's like around you everywhere, and it's like, what are you gonna do with it? You're gonna breathe in, you're gonna breathe it out. It's electricity or magnetic. It's like, I think that's kind of what it means. The ether is just like, and as you go up higher into the sky, it changes the thickness of the plasma. So it's etheric plasma, I guess, and what kind of colors you'll see, and those colors are in vibrational forms of the type of energy you'll get from there. I mean, even the way that we get electricity now, if it carries it on a higher wave up here above us, it's like transmitting radio frequencies and things. It sits in different places. But yeah, I think that would be, some people kind of, they say prana, ether. Then some people say like, okay, is that kundalini? Is kundalini electricity? And some people say no, and other people are like, yeah. And then some people say, well, no, there's two types. There's one that is the Holy Spirit, and then other is literally a foreign entity entering your body. Some people say it's a demonic. Some people say it's angelic, but the angels are, fractions of some of, there's so many ways of breaking it down. I think it really just comes down to like, how are you processing the energy? I don't care if it's a demon. I don't care if it's an angel. I don't care if it's God, him or herself. I don't care if it's the devil. Whatever it is. Can you process the information? Can you process the energy that you're getting from whatever you think that entity is? And if it's electromagnetic, so be it. And if it's whatever the pure divine, I think, the pure divine thing is probably just a cleaner version of electricity. You can have static on your radio. It doesn't make it not a radio. It doesn't make it not a sound, a frequency, a modulation. It's just not the right one. So I think the only thing to say is that the higher level of prana or ether would be uh, there's less static in it. Yeah. Yeah. There you go, Zuno, about the makes you more dense. Yeah, it makes you more Earth-like. So, which is good. I mean, sometimes we want fruit things because it will keep us at a higher vibe, right? But for people, I know people that live in the north, and they've been on the fruitarian kick for a couple of years, but they're mad heady and spastic. They're like freaking out over this. Oh, dude, everything's like this, which is cool. They got energy running through them, but it's like you're like expending all that spastic energy, and then you're depressed and dead afterwards. Think about it. Times you go out and you got a bunch of money and you just waste it all, and you're like, oh, depressed, I ain't got no money, I just spent it on all the shit, and you're like, wah. They're doing that with the fruit. But if you lived in the south where it's sunny, you're already getting the recharge. You're going to need less fruit, and you're going to be breathing anyways. Your body's already going to be ventilating properly because your skin, which is breathing, will be open up more because it's hot. So you'll already be breathing. So you'll be closer to being breatharian anyways. So then in that way, the use of urine, you probably won't even drinking that much water. You probably won't be drinking that much. You'll be drinking fruit juice occasionally, and your urine probably. I mean, think about being on an island. Most islands are surrounded by salt water. How you gonna live there? They got fruits there. Eat the fruits. You got piss. It rains. You learn how to turn that salt water into distilled water. Point is that you're depending on where you are is what animal life could live there. Could you imagine getting what if I see people with like long-haired dogs from the north that basically live outside where it's freezing cold, and that's that big coats, and that's their climate. They like being cold, and then they move to the south, and there's people with like long-haired dogs. I want to punch these people in their face. Like, that's rude. Why? That dog is not comfortable. The dog goes outside and is immediately going, you know what that is? That's because it doesn't sweat. So it's breathing, it's panting because it's, of course dogs like to be warm and like to pant, but the long-haired dogs, like, that's just rude. And they go inside and they just find somewhere to throw themselves down on concrete because it's cold. So they don't overheat and destroy their organs and die. Those animals would never come to the south. No business doing that. They would never dream of it. That's spiritual, yeah. Well, because you can be you're more connected to the people, the things. Yeah. People, when they get in that spirituality thing, they think that means higher. They think it means like sitting in a cave and just always going, oh, namaste. Oh, namaste. Fruit juice. Oh, harm nothing. Oh, float when you walk. Those people aren't very spiritual to me. They can be, but like, there's plenty of people that I know that are on straight meat diets that are more spiritual and, obviously grounded and well aware of the world and its workings. And these people are just going, oh, but you gotta do this, you gotta be vegan, you gotta do this. I'm like, ugh. So everybody here in the background, don't forget, you're allowed to hit the like button. It does help these videos. Now that I had to redo my channel, like buttons help. If you're not subscribed, do that, and always hit even if you are subscribed, make sure you hit the bell again, because people get unnotified of me doing live shows. And also, one more thing, sub to my other channel, Zen Alchemist. Go sub to that one. That way I have a backup channel. And I only have like 300, and I need 1,000 people so I can do live videos from my phone. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks, appreciate it. You the rotten meat? You like spoiled meat? Spoiled rotten. Yeah, I'm good on some, like I don't mind fresh like raw meat, but rotten meat, I know a lot of people like you live from a place where they do like fish, where you bury the fish and it comes out stinking. Like I like if I'm gonna have food that is rotted or fermented. I like all sorts of ferments. I just don't like. Well, fermented meat is not gonna be for me. I have aromas get to me a lot. There's a couple that I'm just probably not gonna fuck with. Well, I mean, yeah, because it's still living. I mean, it should be like taking it's like almost psychedelic, I'm sure, because you're getting a different. It's alchemized. The chemicals in there, you're eating different chemicals. Yeah, fermented milk, like kefir. Yeah, Iceland is rotten fermented shark. I mean, I guess. See, if I live in that climate, I would. But I guess it's just not, maybe not my cultural heritage. Ah, so see, you probably are getting somewhat of a high off of it. You probably ingesting some sort of spore, mushrooms, chemicals that are, hallucinogenic, maybe not hallucinogenic, but at least somewhat psychoactive. Why not? There's a lot of things. As soon as I mean, what do you think beer does? You want to smile, you want to, get a little giggly with beers. I mean, you've fermented something and you've altered what it is. There's plenty of people that all sorts of different chemicals, will put people in a different mental space. As I remind people, there's not much of anything that isn't psychoactive. It's not like, it's just that it just so happens that a small amount of mushrooms off of cow dung are going to have a major effect, whereas you would need to eat a lot of something else to get a similar effect, or even any effect. No doubt there's going to be alkaloids and chemicals and all sorts of different things that will have so many different effects on you. And depending on where your system is starting at, those things, there's some people like they'll take an upper and it's a downer, and some people take downers and uppers, um, like people with ADHD. Don't they give them basically something that's very similar to cocaine and it calms them down? Where if people, like for me, I don't like uppers. I don't like. I mean, coffee, Coke. No, I'm good. I mean, I will drink a little bit of coffee. If you got some good, yay, perhaps. But all in all, no, it's not for me. I like things that slow my mind down and chemically put me more relaxed. Because I don't know, you grew up playing sports and more energized and very thinky and engineering and creative and whatever. And I just like calm down, settle down. What's up, Divine Hazel? Well, there you go, Stan. See, right at the beginning of the show, it's all energy, right? It's just all energy. It's like, what are we doing with it? Some of it is, yeah, some of it is not a good idea of using that type of energy. Like, if everything's energy, the proof of that is, say, the movie Back to the Future. The car, you can just throw anything you want in there and just changes it and uses it as energy. That's pretty much the human body should be, to a degree, right? But in your car, if you were to take in the gas tank and put things that you think are just energy, that ain't gonna work. It's a different system. So for most people, I think are much closer to a regular automobile, where they're not gonna get energy out of everything. Some things will rob them of energy. Some things will give energy, right? I mean it. But again, usually whenever people get energy, they immediately express it. They use it. So to get themselves back in homeostasis, upgrading your energy would be to push that down into your dantian, put that into your bank, put that into your, we'll hold that for later. And you have to be able to do that without hoarding it. Because once people start doing that, like, oh, I have more energy, I have more energy, I have more of this. Like, well, what are you going to do with it? I just need more of it. Like, so you're hogging energy. So isn't that what people get mad about? people that are rich doing. They hog the money. They hoard the money. Old ladies with a bunch of cats, hoarding cats. That's not healthy. Hoarding all of the energy, not healthy. Getting some more is fine. Having a couple cats is fine. Having some money is fine. Zunil, the code to open a portal. I've been watching a lot of time travel and portal movies. It seems to be something about so there's always a mirror involved, or there is a electromagnetic arch. It's either arches or some sort of, it seems like the barrier is between the realms is plasma and electromagnetic, which would be, what's the game, what is it called? Portals? Isn't that the name of the game for Xbox? The orange box game with portals. So plasma and electromagnetics. That seems to be something. And so what is a mirror? And what is the silver stuff in the mirror? So there's something about silver, something about plasma, there's something about electromagnetics. I think you could. I don't see why not. I mean, it's always been sitting there, so I don't think, most of the stories we get, 99% of them are, the real ones are fake and the fake ones are real. So the ones that we take of is like, no, that's just something fanciful. Magic is not real. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just how would you, I know, have you ever just looked at the street and the street's really hot and you see these waves of energy coming off it? Like, what if we could contain that and throw some electromagnetics through it? Like, why wouldn't you go into a different, I don't know, maybe it'd shoot you somewhere else. If you can do it when you're out of body, why wouldn't you do it in this body? Yeah, that's why. This is why you got to find the autistic savants, man. Find the autistic savants, the ones that just look like they're going, oh, and they're just like their heads all kind of, and they're like sweet as anything, and they could probably pick up a car and throw it over, like that tard strength. Yeah, hang out with them. They know some shit. Yeah, I hear you, Zuno. Oh, interesting. I would assume you can find. I would assume in the astral realm you can pretty much find, if you can stay focused enough, you can find it in the astral realm. Because there's plenty of times that I'm in the astral realm, but I'm excited to be there, so I just start playing. I know that I'm there and I maintain, but I don't. It's like, oh, what was I here for? I was gonna go find this thing specifically. Other times, like people tell me all the time they have dreams, or I'm in the astral realm and they tell me things like that I was hanging out with them. I was like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I remember this. And other times it happens in the future. And but yeah, in the astral realm, I think you could find them there. But on this realm, I don't see why using the sand wouldn't do something. Because it's already silica. So if the network is a silicone-based system, why wouldn't you be writing a code into the system? You could draw a map. You could write out something. What's up, Ninja Turtle? Pomegranates. Yes, pomegranates are heart food. Tomatoes, apples, red apples especially. What time are we looking at here? It's only 1:30. Let's see what the weather's looking like, because I want to go play with my ducks. But it's been, oh man, it's been so sticky hot here that, like, you go out and you just start sweating. It's like 90, but then it's like it's not the heat, it's the humidity. I mean, I don't know that I'm sweating as much as it's just so moist around, and it just rained, so yeah, you could use sigils and And also, there's all sorts of things you could find that would work as better codes, you know, hieroglyphs and sigils, and there's the runes, the Futhark runes. Look into the Futhark runes. You might find some codes there. And there's a reason, you know, they say write it on paper, which is the papacy, which is connected to the carbon system. But if you were to put that into sand, that'd be connected to the silica system. So maybe it has more power. But to go a little farther, Zunil, where does the computer zone reside exactly? Finding it, I think, again, I think the astral realm, you could probably find something. Where does it reside and hold itself at? Is there like a spot? Is there like a physical containment, something that you're coding? I suppose it'd have something similar to do with what your brain does. Your brain is a processing center that holds, like you're holding packets of information in your body. You're holding memory in your body, and your brain unpackages it and decodes it. So it seems like you're kind of like holding, like if you're to be the key, if you've made a key or a lock and you want to unlock it, and your brain is the decoding station, it would have to have the coding in there. Since it's something to do with your brain. So then you would say water, and water and what? It's plasma again. The more plasma you put in your system, I mean, the water in your brain is plasmic. It's like closer to urine. It should be, but most people are dried out and it's like gooey. But then what is the gray matter and what is the rest of the stuff? Chinese ideograms, yeah. What up, John West? I know, right? You need ruins to spawn some cash. I hear you on that. I hear you on that. I might do some magic and things soon here. I don't know. I've always kind of, as I've put out there many times, I like a little bit of sense of adventure, where I know that like when I've done magic it works, but then always having the expectation, then I'd always go back to doing it, and I'd rely on it completely instead of just using mental magic and using this. Because if I write everything down and do that, like it's just gonna pop up and come true, right? You know. So I kind of, and I don't. You're not gonna have in the next realm. You don't have paper. You have to use brain. Yeah, but magic is. Well, here's the thing: is we had to invent paper. We had to So what? How did we invent the paper unless it was us doing the magic first, which was mentalism and imagination? So. You're consciously entering the code. I mean, once you write it down, then you burn it. You don't have to remember it because it's in your subconscious. If it's something big, you might want to write it down and then go back to it and use it as, like, McDonald's has the corporate symbol, right? And then everybody else does. So that's just a reminder to you that exists and what it is. So you might want to do that for yourself. Might be a good idea. Okay. I got you, Stan. Yeah, the code was right in patterning. Yes, I think that's right. Strings of language, patterns, and repetition. Well, yeah, rote learning and patterning is one type of learning. It's it's one type of memory system. It's like the more you grind something into like a record, it's gonna become more and more rigid, and it's there. It is. It's rigid. It's there. But that's not the only way of coding. But that is one memory thing that occurs. Yeah, John West. I mean, I know that's a good idea. I like that. You know, I like the idea of what you said there. Um, Repatterning and recognition is the same thing. No, repatterning would be basically to melt a record and then put the pattern back in there. Recognizing something would be like, oh, I know that. It'd be like, you know, sometimes you see something and you're like, you don't know why you know it, but you know it. I think that's reconnection to something. It's like of a remembrance. It had nothing to do with a memory pattern. It had nothing to do with a pattern or a repetition. So I think they're similar, but like one is just the repatterning again. I think is to make a new record. That would be a repattern. So yeah, I think there's something happening certainly from the meat bacteria. Just make sure you're not eating see, you could get the positive bacteria that seems like it's doing something positive for you, but then there's like some cultures they don't realize it, but they're eating rotten pig meat, right? And there's a bacteria in it that then takes over their brain, and they don't even see it happen, and it's causing them all sorts of illness and acting like cannibals completely. Could be, right? I mean, this is certainly people are overrun with certain bacteria. Like, for instance, Candida. Like, I get it in my foot a little bit. Like, so my toenails are just fucking fucked, and sometimes I'll get a little bit of a rash or something. And I know as soon as I know where it comes from, I'll eat some white bread and I'll eat some white sugar or something, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, fuck. And I know where it comes from. So there's like bacteria that are not going to be good in your system. But then other ones that are causing you like, oh shit, that's nice. Tastes like cherry wine. Zuno. Yeah, well, here's the thing. So, and this is people who have to understand diarrhea, explosive shit for 3 or 4 days. Now, either that meat was doing something really good for you, meaning you had other things in there that needed to be cleaned out, and the bacteria in there was ridding your stomach of other things that didn't, not your stomach, but your intestines. So it could have been doing that. Or it could have literally just been poisoning you. It's, you'll know. If you've ever been sick from something, you know it. It's a whole different feeling. But if you just have like, oh, I got to take a dump, and you let go of something and you're like, wow, what a good release, there's a big difference than being poisoned by something. Certainly, like if you just threw meat in the garbage and just left it there, and I just left it in this house, and there's flies and things around it, and I go over there and eat it, just the thought of it's making me vomitous. No good. But if there was meat specifically stored in a container, put underground, and let it ferment onto itself, and took it out, and it had an aroma, and it was like it was fermented and sour and weird, like blue cheese perhaps. Blue cheese, there's those bacterias are going to probably make you poop if you haven't had it before. But once it's gone through your system, those bacteria will eat away things that shouldn't be in your body. See, there's a big difference. You'll be the one that knows. You'll be like, either that was the kind of diarrhea because it's helping me, or the kind of diarrhea like, don't ever eat that again. Haha, Zunil, that's hilarious. Yeah. The poop rush, man. Skull. Yeah, after you take that dump and everything just goes, and it just, your soul system is brighter. And it's like you can just feel that, like, oh, your blood's like, oh, I can go back over to the liver and clean, or I can go the kidneys and clean myself, and your system's like, wow, we got rid of all that crap. Yeah, peace, love. I'm sure it is too. And I have some, but the first couple times I did it, it was killing off so much candida in my body, because this is years ago. The detox and the Herxamer and just my body processing all of the dead candida, it was a lot. It was a lot of stress on my system, and it didn't make me feel good. So I was like, but then again, I always overdo things, and if I would have slowed down and did less hydrogen peroxide, I was like, oh, if people are doing 1 drop, I should just do like 5. If people are doing, oh, this is fine. Not realizing, like, oh, I feel fine, but then, like, oh, a day later, I realize all the buildup of the toxin in my body. Better than cocaine. The poop brush, yeah, the poop brush is up there. Like, just drinking piss and a poop brush. Oh, good, man. Are people getting sick being near the people that have been? It seems that way to me. I mean, I don't. It won't happen to me. I'm not worried about it. For me, energetically, because everything starts on a spiritual level, and then energetic level, and then physical, and I'm not concerned with it. Although I think most people should be a little concerned, because I don't think their body or their mind is in a position to go, I already know, like, I already know what will fix it if I do get somewhat sick being around them. But I do know there's some people that have been since this thing, and I know somebody that they're around a lot. This is somebody I know that doesn't get sick, and then all of a sudden, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them started getting all sorts of weird sicknesses. And 3 of them are kids, and I don't know, man. I don't have. It just seems so obvious. You got to add into that too. The people that are getting it already are kind of effed in the brain to begin with. They already have some sort of psychosis. They already have a bunch of toxicity in them, just mentally and probably physically. So, I mean, that's not helpful to anyone's immune system to just keep loading in toxic vibrations, mental attitudes, and then whatever that's doing to the body, which I think is doing something, and not good. A lot of people are saying it's already having effect, on children being born or not being born. It's having effect on all sorts of things. I've already heard of more than quite a few women saying that they didn't, but they're around somebody who did, and their periods are getting all effed up. Lots of reasons this could be for this. I can't just point right at that, but yeah. Raw kefir. Oh, the kefir fixed your candida. No, interesting. That's interesting, because sometimes I really want yogurt, and sometimes as soon as I start eating yogurt, I'm just eating it all day. I've never done like a full on something to get rid of the candida. I mean, years ago when I did my long fast and did some things, I was fine. But then, I start introducing things back in my diet, like, oh, here, have some more candida. That's hilarious. Zunil. Ah, peace, love. That's crazy, yo. Mm. Um, he had cancer, and then all of his scans are wrong. I don't understand what you mean by that. You mean like they just show up all crazy like now? Because I've been seeing enough videos of people saying, look at people are like, they're turned into magnets to things. Like, I just had to know it. Like, that's a thing. and enough that were just like random. Like I was like, there's no way these people are. They're not playing. This is not like some stage like thing. Like everybody's like, dude, look at what's happening. You should, you know what? I have an idea. I have a bunch of magnets. I have a really a strong, what are the square ones called? Forget the name of it, but I think I'm gonna just carry one of those around with me. And if it magnetizes to somebody, yeah, Zuno, yeah, that empathy. As long as you don't, I was doing some work. I was doing some Reiki work on somebody the other day, and I was talking to them. I was like, I can only do this for a second because I got to remind, like we're inside. I'm not grounded out, and this has happened before where I don't breathe properly, and then I get their energy. It happened to me once, and that was really bad. And I was like, because what they told me was wrong with them. They were all fine afterwards, and I was like, the next day I was like, oh geez, this hurts and this hurts. I was like, and I was thinking about, I was like, I was not breathing right. So like the empathy and the healing and interchanging auric fields and energies and things, you gotta just maintain breathing properly. That's a major thing. Yeah, and I don't know. I can't even imagine what's gonna happen with people that have cancer to begin with. I mean, obviously, as everyone knows here, you certainly have cancer. I have cancer. Everybody has cancer. There's nobody that is fully 100% without cancer in the body. I mean, maybe a couple, but as a general rule, you have cancer. It's not killing you, and it's not going to. It's an overrun garbage can that you haven't cleaned up. That's all. Just like anything, you know, it's gonna be there. But when it starts getting out of control, is because it's just gonna be your body's gonna be screwing up. Because what it really is um, disorganized DNA, RNA that's all coagulated, basically, rather than relaxed, rather than being laxed and like just very loose. It tightens up and combobulates and discombobulates everything and becomes like, tense. That's basically what is happening. It's unorganized, disorganized DNA, RNA, whatever. That's hilarious. Neodymium. Yeah, thank you, Skull. That's the neodymium ones. And if you have one, keep it away from your phone because it will kill it. And any kind of electrical equipment. Why did the milkman get eliminated? Is this are you setting me up for a joke here? Or do you want me to tell you why? Because milk was healthy and they wanted to be able to, pasteurize it and turn it into something else. The closer we get back at the beginning, the more organic and connected we were individually, and then we need to separate that and have corporate blah blah blah. So yeah, that and probably too many milkmen impregnating the wives of guys that were getting choked out at work because they were wearing neckties. Whole thing going on there. Thank you, Zuno. People don't want to hear that. Cancer is a defense mechanism. It's helpful. It is saving people's. Cancer is saving your life. Bacterias, the candida, saving your life. The cancer saving your life. Why? Because it's processing things. It's processing overloads of things and disorganized information in your body that you couldn't. Your body doesn't work fast enough. You keep feeding it food, and your body's like, what do I do with this? And so the candida is like, well, this is no good. I got to eat this. I got to get rid of this. I got to do something with it. And the cancer is like, okay, put this over here. They're organizing or eating away at things. So as soon as people stop shoveling things into their face all the time, just start doing less dense foods. Even if you like eating, eat all day, but eat something that's going to be easy to digest. Yogurts, fruits, things that are more wet, more watery, more juicy, and get away from things that are dry, that will dry you out. It will be hard for your system to process. Yeah, Stan. Yeah, it's happened to me a couple times. But then, once you start breathing and you have to really get it out of your system, ground yourself out. I know a lot of people that after they do tarot readings, they smoke tobacco, and it's because they'll do a tarot reading or something, and it's because somebody's energy, as they do the reading, they're using the fatherly energy of the tobacco to balance out things in the body. What's up, Denise Franenson? Um, do I think cancer came in the last 50 or 60 years? Well, I mean, cancer rates are up quite a bit for a billion different reasons. That's not the only reason. It's one reason. That's a long list of things. A major thing was um, changing over to factory farming, not eating locally, eating more fast food, processed foods. That's the major part of it. The, you know, the other part is kind of compromising your own ability to build an immune system. Zuno, you're such a good guy. Zunil, great way of putting it. Bacteria living janitors. Yes, 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 yes. I didn't know the second part of it, but yeah, that makes sense. Buy a cow. Yeah, cows worth that. Move, motherfucker. Move. Get out the way. Makes sense. Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it, Zuno. Really interesting. That's an extra level to how I learned about an aspect of nutrition and the way the way a couple of people taught about building a house, and the connection to minerals and you know you have the things that you're constructing the house with, being the minerals, and then you have the workers, and then you have the tools and the enzymes being the tools and the workers. You see, there's that kind of process. It's a good way of explaining it so people can look at it the right way. I've never heard of that by lysis. I'll look into that. That's interesting. I never. It makes sense though, because I mean that's what the body is doing. Is that the body as a totality is alchemical processing station. You're processing chemicals. It's the size of it, and how much stuff do we clean out of our chemical our laboratory? How clean do we make it before we do another experiment? And what do we leave lying around, rotting and dying? Bacteria's bad ones versus the good ones. Yeah, interesting you put it that way. Yeah, the science is there, but it's like, yeah, they never. That's why they have to turn everything into um, specializations. So they keep this part from this part from this part, but the science, the good science would always be connected. As long as you weed out the bad stuff and then connect the good stuff, it will show you exactly how the whole system works. And it's feasting and fasting. Go ahead, put good stuff in, do an experiment on the body, see what happens, and then so feast and then fast, clean everything out. Who wants to live life just doing mundane nothingness all day? You want to have a party, right? Have a party and then clean up afterwards. It's the same system all the time. Yeah, yeah. Study and so yeah, exactly. They They don't even teach you about health, nutrition. They teach you about pharmaceuticals. There's no difference. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's certainly some trade schools, some things they'll teach you the basics, but beyond that, when is it best to fast? Well, the best time to do most cleansative things are full moon, because the full moon will get the bacterias and weird things riled up in your body, because the moon is basically connected to more parasitic activity. So if you were doing cleanses, like putting things in your body, turpentine, hydroperoxide, whatever you're doing to clean, like to kill something, full moon. But it seems like a new moon is when to start a fast, a urine fast, or a piss fast, or excuse me, a water fast, juice fast. Seems like a new moon. A different opinion on it, but again, anytime is a good time to fast. Oh, it's a full moon today? So like today would be a good day. I would do a day or two of just doing like heavy duty cleansing, which funny enough, my kitchen is dirty and I just started cleaning. I didn't even realize it was full moon. I was like, I got to clean my kitchen. I was just looking around my house like, I started cleaning out the fridge and I had a bunch of dishes to do. I should probably clean this today. Just so happens that way all the time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, the funny thing is, when they teach you how to not do it properly, the ones that are teaching it don't even realize that. There's only a few that only when they're tenured, even if they know. Most of them, they just go through repeating it. They don't even know that it's not the right thing. Yeah, I mean, Stan, I would look into that a little more and see what everybody else says, but I'm pretty sure that's what the full moon as pulling things, I think, is more into pulling the energy of the bacterias that are no good, and those which you'd want to get rid of. So I mean, fasting is fine, but I just seems like the no moon, you'd be like, oh, might as well just start fasting here, meditating, relaxing, catching the sun. Speaking of dumps, y'all, probably gonna take a poop in a second. I know. Yeah, yeah. Those all should be being made. And the funny thing is they don't. What's up, Axiom? What you been up to, man? And there's so many. There's the ones that really know, the ones that the teachers that know about really the heavy duty electrical engineering, and you ask an average electrician or something, they don't know. They don't know. They went to school as a trade school to learn about electricity and how it functions. They didn't do the study into heavy side. They didn't do the study into how electromagnetics really function or how electricity is. They just know, well, this circuit goes this circuit, and this is, I put this. They could run electricity through a house, but they don't really know how it works. People that are working out in the lines, I knew dudes that worked in the power lines making shit ton of money. But if I had to ask them, how does that all work? They'd be like, I don't know. They'd be like, all I know is I have to ground this to this or I die. And I have to cut this here because this power source is this. That's what they know. They didn't go to, it was not some college. They went to like, minimal, like just training for that specific. So you got that, the power line guys, there's no background in electrical engineering. You don't have to go to electrical engineering school to do that. And then from electrical engineering, if you did that, that doesn't even mean that you've gone to get your master's degree as an electrician. See, the master's degree as an electrician doesn't even need the schooling, and even at the schooling level, they're still pushing the one type of, here's the electricity that's the real electricity. not even discussing that, like how simple you could, how you can make power without a battery. There doesn't need to be a battery there. You know, yeah, weird if you just, even though you can just go look it up. If you take a circular magnet and wrap some copper wire around, then go ahead and start up a little light there. Where'd it come from? There's no power. There's no electricity there. It's using electromagnetic pulses, and you can. It's simply done, but nobody goes. Then they go, oh yeah, but that's not free power. Well, what is it then? If that's not free, what is it? It's not plugged in anything. Where is it getting it from? Now, is there something else going on that I'm not going to get into here, because that'll be a very long talk about electricity. But like, what is it doing with the ions, and what kind of discharge is happening, and what is it doing to the environment? We won't get into all that, but nonetheless, that magnet with the copper wrapped around it, it's making the light work, which shouldn't happen, right? That right there, it's got to go through a circuit. If I want this light to work, I got to plug it in the wall, so it goes through a circuit that runs down somewhere. There's a battery that goes through there, and for that battery to be charged, it has to come from somewhere. And where is it coming from? I mean, I could tell you what the stations really are, but nobody want to hear that. Hey, peace out, Skull. Yeah, there you go. It's an in and out. It seems like I would do cleansing during a full moon. Cleansing, like I would do things that would kill bacterias. I would do lots of yogurts. I would do lots of dimethyl sulfur oxide. I would do turpentine. I would do things that would kill bacteria, kill parasites, kill worms, because they're going to be out feeding. So that's what I would do now. And then during a new moon, when there's no moon, new moon, no moon, then I would fast. I mean, obviously you could start fasting now on a full moon if you didn't have all the other stuff, because then those things wouldn't be eating. They would still eat things in your body, but they would see, if they're out to eat something and you poison them, then they die. But you could just not feed them, but then you're gonna have to fast longer. You could just kill them and fast right afterwards. That would be the smart thing to do, because then you'd be loading more water in your body to rid your body of the dead parasites. But got to remember, if you do that, then you can't just go back to filling your body with the other garbage. You can't go back to filling yourself with the other garbage, because if you do, you'll overrun yourself with the garbage, and it'll be worse on you, because then you won't have the garbage people there, the garbage men, the parasites, the bacteria that would normally do the job of eating up the weird white bread and this and that, the cooked cheese and all that shit that you put in your body. Once you kill them and get them out of your body, you can't just. It'd be like if you had a business. Try it this way, and you employed 50 janitors, because you needed 50 janitors. And then one day you're like, yo, let's fire 48 of the janitors. So like, why? That's crazy. Like, because everyone in the house now is not going to make a mess. Everyone in this business, you're going to clean up after yourselves. You're going to consume less, you're going to bring less in, and you're going to clean up after yourself. And as long as we stick to that, we only need 2 janitors. So you fire 48 of them. You get 2 janitors. They're doing the same amount of work as they were before. Everybody else now just has to do their job more efficiently, and the system will run even better. You need less employees, less people cleaning up. Now, if you don't take care of the system, and all of a sudden you start putting more garbage in there, and you got 2 janitors. Oh, now it's gonna be overrun with muck. Then you're gonna immediately have to, okay, well, now it's a mess in here. So now it's a mess. Now you got to hire more janitors back than you had to begin with. Now you got to hire 55 janitors, because it's become such a mess. You got to take care of the backlog. Which means hiring more janitors would mean you better start putting more whatever's going to be those bacteria, whatever be those enzymes, whatever be those things to break down and pull things out of the body. Yep, synthetic drugs to subscribe. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's exactly it, mine. Yeah, I mean, like you have to if you always think of the like just think of a big building and then look at the people that work in the building. Think of your body in the same way. Most businesses are overrun with employees. Your body is overrun with things that you don't need in it. You're overhired and overstaffed everywhere. But to become more efficient, you have to maintain those levels. You have to maintain those standards. Which means if I want to live more efficiently, then what I need to do is I can't just like okay, I can't just on a Friday Saturday when I go out I can't just all right, I'm gonna go get a slice of pizza now and a big bag of chips, and I can't do that. Because if I do that, it's going to put such a strain and stress on my body that it's going to be way worse on me the next day. Because I'm like, oh man, this doesn't feel good, and ugh. So if you level up, you have to maintain that. You can't just, backsliding is the worst. You'll be falling down the ladder. Your body will then, because your body likes homeostasis, it will naturally find its balance, but you're going to be more out of balance. So if you go, all right. It's like most people can't go 0 to 100, like meaning you're starting here, you've never fasted, and you're like, I'm gonna fast for 40 days. No, you're not. If you did, you'd have to then right afterwards you got to maintain high levels of quality standards, or else you're gonna be in a bad position. So most people would go, okay, do little baby steps of fasting. Do baby steps of here, change this one part of your diet. Don't eat that. Instead of hey, okay, I know you want to eat that the cheap ass chocolatey cake brownie with the other, change it and get chocolate, but make sure you just get a good chocolate bar. It costs a little more, but you'll probably want less of it, and then you'll feel better after eating it. You can still trade these things in, but you just start off, trade-ins. All right, Zunil, good to see you. And speaking of dipping. Ma, you ate McDonald's right afterwards? Oh man. Yeah, McDouble? Oh, that's tough. After doing long ones, I know. I made a mistake one time doing a pretty long one of eating garbage. Like I went to sleep for 20 hours. And I felt like I was just like, what is this? My body was like, why are you putting food in this right now? But yeah, if you after about 7 or 8 days, the first thing back has to be juice. It has to be broth. You should every 7 days, your first day back shouldn't be anything but liquid. Then you can start soft foods. 2 weeks, 2 days. You can do whippets. That's awesome. Oh yeah, I would bet how terrible that must have been smoking a cigarette after doing a fast. Like whenever I've done long fasts, I only smoke like American Spirit every once in a while. Like sometimes I'll fucking chain smoke the shits, but that's only if I'm around certain people. But other than that, nah, man, I couldn't even imagine. Couldn't even imagine how awful that must have been. Like, ugh, the fuck was I thinking? Well, check it out, everybody. This has been 2 hours, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm gonna go get some outside time, get a little sunshine, and I need to take a dump. But as always, thanks for showing up. And if you want, donations are very, very appreciated. Cash App, PayPal, or the other ones beneath. TsarXen. Yeah, have a beautiful day. Do weird things. Inspire other people. Take care of the world. If you can't do that, at least take care of yourself. And I'll try to get back on here a little later, depending on the weather outside. Maybe I'll even get back on here in like an hour or so and go hang out with the ducks or something. But I'll talk to y'all soon. Do weird things. Have fun and be weird. Toodles. Bye guys and girls.